All right, welcome to Whitetail Weekly. Today, we're out behind my house. You can see our walking path here that I'm walking on. We have agricultural cornfield here. Behind me is the plot screen for the plot here at the house, which I call the bull ring. And I wanted to talk today. I started this walk. This is Monday, October 21st. I was gone this weekend up at our property hunting. Came out this afternoon to take a walk around and check stuff out here at the house. And notice this plot screen has dried down. When I left on Friday, this plot screen was lush and green and doing its thing. And I notice now, here we'll walk in on it here, it is completely dried down, which is normal. I'm not saying this in a bad way, but it's crazy. In just the course of the weekend, it dried right down and is getting to, kind of that end life state, if you will, of how it's going to be all winter. But pretty crazy just the change it made in a few days. But when I saw that, I figured we haven't yet talked about this, so it might be a good short video for today. So again, this is the food plot here at my house. I call it the bull ring, and we'll talk a little bit about it here in this video. I'll show you the plot. We'll go to the blind that's on the plot, and I'll talk about the seed that I planted to get this plot screen, which has actually done pretty well. You can see I'm about 5.5 feet tall, so 7-8 feet tall, which is pretty good, and I'll explain why here in a minute. So stay with, we'll take a tour of the bull ring here at the house. So this here is the seed that I used for this plot screen. It's by Antler King. It's called Barricade, and it's a blend. It's 3 different types of sorghum blended to make this blend here. And the reason I chose this, it was really scientific. I did a lot of research and study, but I chose it because it was cheap. And that's really the only reason. I'd never even heard of this blend before or anything like that. I chose it. As you can see, it was on clearance. Most of these plot screens, and this one is no different, they recommend planting no later than late June. I planted this plot screen on July 19th or 20th. So I was just trying to do something cheap, and if it failed, I didn't want to feel bad about spending a bunch of money. So I got 2 bags of this on clearance for 15 bucks. So I spent about 30 bucks for this plot screen. And again, that is the only reason I chose this Antler King brand. And really, I've been impressed. I got it in late. We had decent rain in the beginning, but this is at my house now, and as an example, we haven't mowed the grass at my house maybe one time in the last month or more. It's been super dry here lately, but despite that, this plot screen was still rocking and rolling and growing, and it's gotten to 8 to maybe even 9 feet in places. So did a real good job. I have no reason not to recommend it. I'm not going to say that it's the best brand ever or the best blend ever or that you got to buy it, but it's done well and it was cheap. So if you're like me, that's a pretty good combo. So this is what's planted here for this plot screen that I was just talking about. So we'll go around now. We'll go into the plot, show you what we got going on in there. So here we are inside the bull ring. It's all, as you can tell, it's a clover plot. Quite a bit of clover in areas. It's by no means perfect. There's definitely was some grass intrusion. I sprayed the grass, as you can see, kind of in that area where there's a lot more of the dead grass than the lush clover that's in this part. But it's a clover plot. A lot of that area where the grasses are died off, there is clover that was fighting its way through under there. So hopefully that'll, continue to perk up, and by next year it'll fill in pretty nicely. But the deer like it in here. Actually, as you can see, there's a couple beds. Where would it be on camera? Back this way. In there. There's a bed over here with some fresh droppings in it. So deer like to come, they feed and hang out. We get quite a few. I have a camera on that tree right there watching over our little scrape tree setup, and there's actually, we started a scrape here, so you can see where we started the scrape here on the the dirt here, and then actually right next to it over here has actually been scraped up new since I was in here on Friday. So we'll pull that camera card here in a minute. We've had a couple different smaller bucks on this camera at night, of course, unfortunately, but that might change once that cornfield we were talked about comes down. So, but this is it. I call it the bull ring. It's just a little tiny little, I don't know, it might be 1/10 of an acre little clover plot. We use the screen. My house sits up behind me. That's my barn. You can kind of see my house there and a barn and my other barn over there. So we use that plot screen to kind of block the deer's kind of vision of the house off and make them feel a little more comfortable in here. And then it also helps, again, they get in here. This behind us is kind of an open ag field, so we kind of block that off as well and kind of let them get in here and feel a little more secluded. So we have our blind here. This is a blind that I built years ago and brought it out here before we had food plots. It's been out here probably, I don't know, 7-8 years now, 5-6 years for sure. It's actually my neighbors gave us their kids' old playscape. So that's the base and the elevated part. That was like the tower part of their old playscape. And then I framed it in. I am by no means a master builder, so it's had a couple revisions since we first did it, but works pretty good. We'll go in there in a second, but this is the bull ring. This was set up mainly with my kids in mind so that they could hunt real quick here at home. We have a ton of deer in this part of the state of Michigan. And actually, they have a lot of really nice bucks in this part of the state as well. So we've had some real monsters on camera over the years, not unfortunately yet this year, but we've had some really nice bucks right in this food plot. It wasn't a food plot then, but in this area over the years. So definitely the potential to get a buck or two potentially, but was set up mainly just to get some hunts in and, you know, take a doe and let the kids be able to hunt quickly at home. So this is the bull ring, and you'll definitely see some more footage and hunts from here as the year goes on. So come along, we'll go inside this blind now, get a look from in there, and continue our tour of the bull ring. Well, we're now inside the blind here, looking out at the bull ring out there. This blind, like I said, was actually our neighbor's kid's playscape. So the framing and everything was pretty much built in. We added a little side hatch door, built these windows. These windows are really tall. They were built with the idea of me shooting a compound bow out of here. So when you're shooting a compound, you need that taller window so you can get your sight and your rest, your arrow level out of that window and be able to adjust and not be, hitting the sides or anything like that. So these windows are kind of unnecessarily tall when you think of it from a gun or a crossbow perspective, but that's why they're like that. And we'll mainly hunt out of here now with the crossbow for the kids, but I have shot deer out of here with my compound bow, so the window design did come in handy. But this used to all be one giant window, and we'd flop it down, or actually it would go up, and it was kind of a pain. It was a real hassle. It was heavy and hard to do quietly and quickly, and we just, after last year, we kind of got busted one time. I said, forget it, we're going to redo it. So now we have these two independent windows, and they're just latched up here. You can just undo these little latches. That window will come right down nice and quiet, and take your shot, and then goes back up and latches back in there, stays put. So very simple. Like I said earlier, I am by no means a master builder, but you try something out. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, and you scrap it and start over. But I would encourage you guys to give it a shot. If you aren't looking at something blind or anything, try it out. Give yourself the credit that you can get it done. If you don't, you don't. That's fine. And there's nothing wrong with buying pre-built blinds. Trust me, I like those too. But you can do it for the cheap, or do it on the cheap yourself. So give it a try. But this is our blind here out behind the house, and like I said, this is somewhere that hopefully we'll be able to get the kids set in here, get them an opportunity at a doe or even a buck. Like I was saying, there are good bucks in this area and plenty of them. So you never know. But that's it. Just a quick tour of the bull ring as I call it, here at the house. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Stay tuned for more. We've been out hunting and stuff now. Obviously, our season's rolling, so we do have some hunting videos coming up. I just got to get those edited and sent out. So stay tuned to Whitetail Weekly. More to come.